genuine support. This is Medicine Man once again, and no doubt, no form and no fashion am I'm going to be lacking here in this video today. For the most part, in this video right here, is obviously the number one thing that people been trying to, kind of pretty much get out of the knowledge and the wisdom that I've been dropping and demonstrating so far, moving forward on this YouTube channel, as well as on my TikTok channel. Follow me at Medicine Man on TikTok. But one of the most interesting things that I can say is that in transmuting energies, and so I wanted to like give you guys, my genuine followers, man. Everybody else, they kind of pretty much at this point by the wayside. But my genuine followers and people who are looking for actual inspiration and looking for knowledge on how to obtain certain levels of spiritual power, right now is probably the time. I'm going to do this live, and most likely I'm going to delete it. So if you want to keep it for your personal pleasure or whatever, peace. Here we go. I've been through a lot, and I've never, people who know me, and I'm be honest, people who know me, they know like I'm a transparent person. You know what I mean? Anything you ask me, I'll give you an answer to it, especially when it comes to my life, because I know a lot of people wear masks on out here. This hat is really a mask. It's a ski mask, you know what I mean? And so what I'm saying is there is a lot of people and a lot of energies out here, right? That, and I'm not hating, I don't hate on anybody on social media. I don't hate on any content creator. I just happen to have noticed, because I read energy very well. I can read energy through the phone, read the energy of the environment. It's just the gift that God gave me. That's it. Okay? Nothing hyper about that. It's a gift that God gave me. And so one of the things that I've noticed that there are a lot of people, and I've dealt with some people in personal capacities, there are a lot of people that just wear masks, and I really don't have nothing much to say about anybody else when it comes to the wearing of masks. What I'm here to say today, forward, is that I don't wear a mask. Medicine Man don't wear no mask. I don't wear no mask. I will tell you that I'm probably not everybody's cup of tea, but if you're down to sip me anyway, let's go. You know what I mean? You down to sip me anyway? Let's go. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. And one of the reasons why I'm not everybody's cup of tea, because originally I got my initiation training in the trenches. Initiation in life, it came from the trenches. My initiation process, it came from coming from an extremely dysfunctional family structure, extremely dysfunctional, extremely dysfunctional. I have my own uncle try to kill me when I was like my 9 years old. And I'm gonna tell y'all that story. I'm gonna share the story with y'all right now. There's a lot in my life, but this is one story I'm going to share. My uncle, at the age of 9, I was about 9 years old. And I'm gonna be honest with you, in the community that I was raised in, for the most part, it wasn't a good community. It's not. It's still not a good community. I'm here though, but it's still not a good community. A lot of drugs, a lot of violence, a lot of betrayal, and all of these different levels of different things that has happened. You know what I mean? So you have to be a particular type of individual out there when you're dealing with these types of people in this type of environment. But when I was 9 years old, man, I was kind of experimenting, man. I was in a middle school, kind of pretty much experimenting with, weed and stuff like that, and drinking, you know, I came from that kind of life, and I'm not trying to glorify it. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to do that in any form of capacity. What I'm just doing is simply stating the truth. And so I remember my uncle, right? He used to be the weed man, right? And he used to sell weed in the community. So, you know, back then we talking about, you know, like the 80s. Back in the 80s, man, weed was considered a hard quote unquote drug. It wasn't the kind of drug where you know, like how cocaine and crack and stuff is considered heroin now. You know, weed was considered you get 100 years for a bag of weed back then. So I was experimenting with smoking weed at the age of 9, you know, of course. And my uncle came to my grandma's house, you know, because I was living with my grandmother. And so he came there and he was like, he put a big gigantic bag of marijuana. So he put his bag, you know, in the closet and he left. So I was like, man, I'm going to get me one of those bags, man. You know what I mean? I'm going to experiment, smoke, you know. So back then we used to smoke joints. So what ended up happening is, you know, I took a joint. I took a bag. It was this little bag. And I be honest with you, I took about 2 or 3. And he had about 50 of them. I never counted it. Wasn't my business to count his bags, you know. But I took about 3 of them. I went around the corner, found my buddies. You know, we all like 9, 10, and 11. So we got some joint paper from some older guy, you know, in the hood or whatnot, older brother. And he gave us some paper. So we commenced to, you know, rolling up. I'm gonna be honest with you, man, I'm gonna get a little graphic with it, man. We were sitting behind the church and we was rolling up our joints, fired up. We smoked it. So I went back home after we smoked it. I went back home, and I pretty much got to my my grandmother's house, and she was like, "What you did to your uncle? What you did to him? What you did to him? What you did to him?" This is a story time, y'all, so bear with me. She was like, "What you did to him?" I said, "Man, I ain't did nothing to him, Granny. What you talking about? I ain't did nothing to him. What are you talking about?" So she was like, "Oh, he been mad. He been around here looking for you with a gun." Here we go. I'm 9 years old. This nigga looking for me with a gun. This man is looking for me with a gun. I'm 9 years old. I took 3 bags of reefer, but $30 back then, you know. So I went to my aunt's house, which was like 2 blocks down. I went to my aunt's house, right? And same thing, man. What you did to him? He looking for you. And I'm like, you know, I'm kind of scared now. You know what I mean? Because I'm like 9, maybe 10. I can't remember my exact age. We're like 9, 10. So I'm kind of scared now. I'm like, man, he looking for me like that? Like, what going on? I'm figuring he think I did something else, or he's just falsely accusing me. I didn't know what was going on. So I stayed at my aunt's house to figuring I'm hiding out. You know what I mean? And so what ended up happening is he came there with a 38. He had the 38, you know what I mean? And I was in the back room, like kind of hiding, because I was scared. Because I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what was about to happen. You know what I mean? And for real, man, he come to the room, kick the door open, boom! He kicks the door open. So I'm like, man, uncle, what's going on, man? We're going to be my uncle, but cool. We used to watch football together on Saturday. You know what I mean? And it wasn't like we were distant. We were cool. You know what I mean? And so he kicked the door open, boom, put the gun to my head. Give me my money. Give me my money. Give me my money. So I'm like, yo, wow, you know, and I'm like trying to figure out, like, why is he approaching me like this, man? It's 3 bags of weed. I done seen this dude with big lump sum of money like this, big giant bags of weed. And I figured, man, I just took 3 bags of weed, went smoking with my homeboys. Man, let me tell you something. Wind that part of the story down. That man made so much of a ruckus in the family and carried on so bad that my grandmother had to like pay him, man, because he threatened to kill me. You know, he put the gun to my head like this. Oh, my money. No, it wasn't like this. where my money at? And I'm like tripping, like, yo, like, but the situation escalated so bad, man, that my grandmother had to pay him. I had to give him $30, and mind you, I seen him with a bag of money like this and a bag of weed like that. And my grandmother had to pay him $30. It was my grandmother or my mother, one of them. They had to pay him $30 for the weed, man. And ever since then, we've had this, I'm gonna stay away from you forever relationship. You know what I mean? Because I'm not but 10 years old, man. I for even money from their uncle, or family member or whatever. And at that age, it's like, man, you ain't really know no better, man, nephew. Don't do that no more. You see? But he took it to another level, put a gun to my head, which obviously, in many instances traumatized me. And so at that level of growth, at that level, I figured, that shouldn't happen to me. But I developed a certain, because of the situation, I developed a particular understanding. I understood moving forward what our relationship would be like, and that I needed to stay away from him. Scared at that time, but as time changed and I got older, I'm like, man, I got low, 13 and all that. I'm like, boy, you better not even play with me like that no more. Don't you ever play with me like that, because it ain't this kind of party over here. So one of the things that I want to say about developing spiritual strength and spiritual power is the number one rule on that of having that kind of strength, transmuting energy. Because what I ended up to do is transmute the energy of that situation into some form of power that I can use moving forward. You see, because when you look at that particular situation, you understand that there was nobody there to protect me. There was nobody there to protect the child, I would say. And because of that, you have to transmute that energy in a form or fashion. And I know many of you guys deal with egregores and astral spirits and things like that. So what you have to do in traumatic situations like that is create an egregore, I would say, or an astral spirit or a spiritual energy, or that would protect you. You have to, and when I say conjure or create that force is created within you. You see, so what you do, you get the trauma and the energy from the trauma, and you create a life force energy that becomes your protector. This is something that I recommend to teach to the children. A lot of times children are, with adults. And you have to teach the children to transmute the energy of a trauma into a protective energy force that can protect you when needed. You know what I mean? So that was the story time there. And moving forward, the reason I said that is to say that transmuting energy is important. And you got to know how to take it and rearrange, shape, force, alchemize it into something different. As a consequence, going up throughout life, not to get into too much details, but when you elevate yourself and you move on from different circumstances, for example, when you come from, I come from the trenches. I'm not everybody a cup of tea, I'll repeat. I come from the trenches. 2, I'm very transparent. If you ask me, I will explain to you who I am, what I'm trying to do, and where I'm trying to go. One of the things that I that's kind of like bad out here is that when people turn around and try to tell your life story for you. Now that is some complete nonsense, y'all. Never try to tell nobody life story for them. You don't know that even if there are people that have been around you for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, they've only been around you in certain capacities. You know what I mean? Like those people, they never been in your house. Their knowing you begins when you step outside. When you step outside and you meet and greet with them, that's how they know you. And if they only know you from that capacity of the meet and greet for 10, 15, 20 years, that's all they know. They don't know about what you experience in your house. You see? The majority of the times, people are under severe trauma inside of their homes. You know what I mean? Me in particular, I had to live with my grandmother. You know what I mean? So my grandmother raised me, and that was for a very particular reason. You see what I'm saying? So my grandmoms and my grandpops, they raised me. And this is how I ended up learning, like the powerful stuff. I'll put it like that. That's how I ended up learning it. Because I've been up under my grandmama. So my grandmama would be flipping the page of the Bible and stuff like that. I learned it. I learned it by sitting there as a little kid watching her. You know what I mean? I used to sit there and watch her all day. She would turn the pages of the Bible. She got the little oil bottles and she wiping it across the windowsill at the top and things like that. I was just sitting there soaking it all up. And there was another guy in our community, you know what I mean? He was like the neighborhood. His name was Root Man. And his son, I don't want to talk about his son, but his son name was Root Man as well. And this man, we used to always go to his house, right? And like on the weekends or after school, we would go lift weights and stuff like that. We all used to box and stuff like that. So we would go to his house. But his daddy was a Root Man. This was the first time I ever seen a goat head. The first time I ever seen a goat head. He had this big oil drum in the backyard. And he would beat the drums. I think he was like a Hebrew Israelite, but he practiced that root. And so he would beat the drum. And so when we would come by to like go upstairs and lift weights and stuff, Root Man Daddy used to always drop some words of wisdom on us, man. He used to always drop some words of wisdom on us because he know we've been young and he also know we've been out there hustling in the streets, you know what I mean? Not ashamed of that, at all, because that's just part of my experience. It is what it is. And so we were hustling and selling drugs and stuff. And Root Man, his dad, used to always drop knowledge on us, be like, yo, young brothers, I know y'all doing that. I know y'all out there. Da, da, da. So he'd be like, take this. And he gave us, these little tiny, like he had little tiny ones. He gave a little tiny bag, like put that in your pocket so you don't go to jail. I put that thing in my pocket. I never asked no question. I never opened it. But that was the first time I ever seen a goat head right in the hood behind his house. And that man they used to live on, what's the name of that street? Nassau Street. That's Nassau? Yeah. They used to live on Nassau Street. And that man, like, he had this oil drum with a goat head on it, and he would be beating his drums. And I never knew the whole time. Well, we knew, but ain't nobody would get in this business, man, because during that time, it was like greatly feared. And so where I'm from, in Charleston, South Carolina, here, it's like, it's greatly feared, but everybody doing it. It's one of those situations where ain't nobody want to associate with anybody that do root work or hoodoo or whatever you want to call it. They don't want to associate with you at all. Make them mad. That's all you got to do. Make them mad. You make them mad, then all of a sudden they know who all the root worker is. They going out in Beaufort, South Carolina. They all the way in Yamasee. They all the way in Florence or something, going to see all the root workers. And they know exactly where to go. But if you don't make them mad, if they happy and jolly and feeling good, or they go to church every Sunday, they do what the Lord said do. They read the Bible, quote all the Bible verses to you. But don't make them people mad, because the minute you make them people mad, they know exactly, what to do and who to go to. So that's the hypocritical nature of people who try to conceal their practices. You know, I've been one of the only people that rose up from like where I come from to be like, yo, this is my ancestral heritage. You know what I mean? Like, this is the heritage. This is what we came up in. You know, there was a day and time when you couldn't go to the doctor. Like, the old people couldn't go to the doctor. You know what I mean? Like, they go to a lot of old people here in Charleston in the community, they got stories of how they went to the doctor, went for a minor surgery. And because these European doctors, white doctors who were prejudiced or racist, they were killing the old people just for sport because they could. You see? So a lot of the old people, you know, like my grandparents and people before them, they were afraid to go to the doctor. They were scared because so many of their friends went to doctors here in Charleston back in the 60s, back in the 50s, 60s. They went to the doctors. Oh, sorry about that, y'all. And they were taken out, straight taken out. You know what I mean? And the old people knew this, you know? And so it was one of those things where they actually resorted back to their practices, which was making medicine. So when you hear things about the life ever molasses, they got this plant called life ever molasses, you know, the dandelion root and stuff like that, man. People were actually taking these things, man. Even a white oak leaf tree, the white oak leaf tree root from the white oak leaf tree was boiled as tea. It's anti-cancerous, antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory. You know, the dandelion root, you know, and other roots that these people had. You know, they resorted back to it because these doctors been killing them, yo. You know, that's a whole story for another time on how many doctors in Charleston got away with old people in the 60s and in the 50s. Got away with it. Anytime you go to the doctor, they've been doing this to the old people for a long time. And so it's just one of those things, man, honestly, where, you know, it is a culture. And I made some videos on TikTok, and and what I was talking about is the aboriginal origins of hoodoo. Because a lot of people don't understand, like, they say, you know, and there's a lot, hoodoo got a lot of haters. I've been seeing it, you know what I mean? I wasn't saying nothing, but I've been seeing it. Hoodoo has a lot of haters, unfortunately. And so I'm at a space and place and energy where only thing I'm gonna do is put out some information that can't be stopped. And that information is hoodoo is the creation of Aboriginal people. It is an Aboriginal spiritual practice. Okay. Now, when we look at the plantation, we look at one, the transatlantic slave trade as a whole, as it was taught, is a lie. It's not true. They didn't bring 50 million. They didn't bring 100 million Africans over here. They may have bring less than a million. When we came over here, there were already millions of people here. Millions of Aboriginal dark-skinned people here, okay? And these Africans that came to the shores of North America, they did not know anything about the plants, the herbs, and the medicine of this land. And that's primarily because there's a different botanical nature of America in comparison to Africa. Different plants grow here than there. So when they came here, they didn't know anything about the plants. So the number one question is, how did they know about the plants that were here? How did they know about the medicinal nature and the spiritual nature of the plants that were here? Here's what happened. For the Africans, they were mixed with Aboriginal people. Because what not allegedly, what actually took place, is that when European colonizers came over here, they realized that, there are dark-skinned, melanated, African-like people already here. So after they brought some ships over and brought people over, they were like, why should we do 30-day voyages? That's a fact. Aboriginal people assisted the colonizers and helped them capture Aboriginal people. Here's the hoodoo. When they did that, the Africans were blinded. They didn't know nothing about this land. They didn't know where to go if they ran from a plantation or anything. They didn't know nothing. But when they started capturing Aboriginal people, the Aboriginal people knew the land. The Aboriginal people knew the roots. They knew the medicine. They knew the plants. So these Aboriginal people taught the Africans on the plantation everything that they knew about the plants. So when they poisoned, what they did is they created poisons and put it in the foods to poison off the slave masters. They poisoned them out. You see what I'm saying? And after they poisoned them, then when they escape from the plantation, they know where to go. They knew where to go. You see, now if they were Africans all alone, they wouldn't know where to go because they wouldn't know where the tribes were at. The Aboriginal people who they captured and put on the plantation, they knew. So they knew, hey, we're going to run to the Catawba. We're going to run to the Kusabo. We're going to run to the Yamasee Indians. Because we know we guaranteed our freedom over there. We know it. And this is how a lot of escaped African slaves made it on to Indian Aboriginal reservations. You see what I'm saying? So now, when it comes to root work, hoodoo, people be hating, right? But they don't be understanding that hoodoo, rule number one, got no spirits. It ain't no spirits in hoodoo, but the great spirit, God, the great spirit. And this is something that even the African people who adopted our practices, they realized. Because when they came over here, they was like, well, where's the pantheons? Where is the road opening spirit? Where is this spirit? Where is that? You know, great spirit. That's it. That's what they found. So when they incorporated their belief systems into our spiritual practices, it was a necessity because they had to, one, and two, they had to like incorporate everything together and understand that over here in this land, the spirit of this land is the great spirit. And they respected that. They didn't care because if they did, there would be a whole collection of stories about the river spirit, the spirit of the trees, the spirit of this, the spirit of that. We don't have that in hoodoo. Hoodoo is a spiritual practice that's based on the great spirit. There's no pantheon there, none. And it's born in oppression, which make it very unique. This is what make root working unique. Hoodoo, what makes it unique? It's born in oppression. Like there is no other African or Aboriginal spiritual practice that is born in oppression. Think about it. Just think about it for a minute. Because they practice like follow and was born in oppression. All of those systems came and struggled with maintaining their dignity in the midst of oppression. You see, hoodoo was born in it and from it. And in fact, it was a medicinal system that was used to poison slave masters, to poison the oppressors. So yeah, the Aboriginal people taught the Africans all on the plantation how to make poison. And they would take this poison and they would go and give it to the slave master. Here, give it to the house nigga, first of all. And here, this is for master dinner tonight. And then they would go, give them the food, and they were cooking and preparing them. They dropped dead. Everybody ran for the money. Everybody took off to achieve their freedom. So people tell you, and I'm man, hoodoo ain't real, and hoodoo you're talking about, man, they don't know nothing. It was the only practice that is born from of overthrowing and oppression. Okay, so it's really a revolutionary. In fact, hoodoo is the only revolutionary spiritual practice. There is none. You can look around the whole world. You can go in other countries. Look around the whole world. You ain't gonna find no spiritual practice revolutionary like hoodoo. That has a history like hoodoo. We poisoned our oppressors to get where we're at today. You see? That's the truth. You know? So let's move forward. I want that moving forward, but I'll be back. You know, I'll be back and forth between my TikTok page. It's at Medicine Man with the MANN on TikTok, and I'll be here. And I'm gonna be here for the next couple of days, dropping some knowledge, man. I might go live, I might drop a video, but in all regards, for the next few days, I'm gonna be live and direct. And I got a life story to tell about all the multiple situations I've been through and what's really going on from my perspective. And I'm gonna deal with that, which ain't nothing big, not to me. And then we're gonna move forward with the root work. We're gonna move forward with transmuting energy, and I'm gonna share some knowledge and information about developing high levels of spiritual power, being able to read environmental energies. I'm very big on that. I'm not talking about being able to read environmental energies from the perspective of body language. All right, I'm talking about being able to feel the energy aura of a specific environment, to be able to feel the energy aura when you step into a building, to be able to decipher that. There's some things that are just unteachable. You know, it just might be my gifts, or it just may be, I can teach you how to activate that ability within yourself. You see, because as humans, we have a lot of DNA in us that are dormant. You know, these DNA sequences that's inside of us that are dormant are meant to be activated. You know, so we have to learn how to, I think, take that dormancy of our genetic structure and learn how to activate it to activate spiritual powers. Because I'll be the first to tell you, man. I'll be the first to explain to you guys that spiritual power is real. Spiritual power is real. Being able to feel the energy signature of a place when you step into it, your aura speaks. A lot of people like to feel the energy of the aura or look at the aura energy, but your aura speaks. You have to listen. If you listen, your aura going to tell you, hey, this is not a good place. This is not the good time for you to be here. Leave, go, come, you know. And so when we learn to listen to the energy of our aura as it speaks to us, we would learn how to read the atmosphere we're in. You know, so a lot of people, a lot of times they get themselves in situations where you know, I've seen people lose their life because they don't know how to read the energy of an atmosphere, you know? And so I've learned to do that, to read the energy of an atmosphere so you will know. There's been times where I've been in particular places, I'm not even from there, in other cities and stuff like that. And I'm not even from these cities, man. And I'm like trying to use my little Google map, trying to figure out how to get from point A to point B to where I'm going. And the map, the GPS is leading me. I'm on foot. The GPS is leading me, but my energy, my aura is telling me, don't go down that street. My aura is telling me, make a left here. And I'm like, left here, but the GPS telling me to, so I make a left there in it. And there's another situations where the birds on the power line, and this is my God honest truth, the animals, when you in tune with yourself, the birds standing on the power line, I'm standing there like, man, which way should I go? Which way should I go? Left? Should I go right? The birds on the power line all looked up. They looked down like this here, held their head up, and everybody turned their head in one direction. I said, that's the way I'm going. And when I went that way, things went right. So you learn to read the energy of the atmosphere. And by reading the energy of the atmosphere, you can read anyone's aura in it. And that's a subject matter that I'll be covering next time. All right. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll be live again. And we're going to be talking about the energy of the atmosphere. I'm going to get my notes together on how I'm going to deliver it to you guys. And I'll see y'all then, man. Until then, love, peace, support, share my channel. Tell everybody I'm back and let's go for it. I'm going to be giving some free knowledge. Just this week, I'm giving free knowledge, and then I'm going to be getting back to my classes. And y'all see where I'm going at with this, and I'm going to teach people how to get that power, because that power is really within. It's activating a God force energy inside you. A lot of times, we don't know how to do that. I'm a walking demonstration of that. So let's go. All right? Peace and blessings, man. Y'all take care.